to today's class. I'm so glad that you're here with me today, and I hope that you're safe and healthy amid these challenging times. Before we begin discussing our main topic, creative nonfiction, we must first have a recap for those of you who already know, or at least a basic knowledge for those of you who do not know about the four main literary genres that we have today. These are poetry, drama, fiction, and creative nonfiction. But wait, what? Some of you might begin to wonder.
Creative nonfiction?
I thought it was just called nonfiction.
And yes, you are right. But in 1996, award-winning American author Philip Gerard, in his book Creative Nonfiction, Researching and Crafting Stories of Real Life, said, "It's always seemed odd to me that nonfiction is defined not by what it is, but by what it is not. For example, nonfiction is obviously not fiction, since it deals with everything real, contrary to the latter. One search in Google shows that nonfiction is prose writing that is based on facts, real events, and real people. It could also not be poetry, since from the very definition of itself, nonfiction is a type of prose. And prose, if we recall, is a form of literature with ordinary language and sentence structure. But on the other hand, poetry pays attention to rhythm, rhyme, and meters. So, in the words of Gerard, defining nonfiction is like defining a classical music as non-jazz, or sculpture as non-painting. How did we now come from simply calling the fourth literary genre as nonfiction to creative nonfiction? Let's dive deeper. Although there have been a few alternatives to the word over the years, such as literary nonfiction, narrative nonfiction, or literature of fact, it was Lee Gutkind, the acknowledged godfather of creative nonfiction, who defined it as a true story well told. In the book Creative Nonfiction, Crafting a Knowledge of Self, Others, and the World, Filipina author Susan Lara defines CNF as a story about something that really happened to real people, told in a manner that uses literary devices that are usually employed by fiction writers. Because of this, CNF then is composed of well-developed complex characters, a narrative arc, conflict, revelation, and resolution, engaging dialogue, the use of scenes rather than straight exposition, and an identifiable theme. Now that you have a background of what CNF is all about, you might be wondering, what makes this fourth literary genre unique? Let's dive deeper. First and foremost, and maybe the most crucial among all, in CNF, the writer has to rely on his or her memories. Therefore, they should be able to retell events that actually happened. We all know how deeply flawed memories can be. I'm sure that at one point in your life, you may have questioned the authenticity of a memory that popped into your mind.
When I saw Jane last week, was she wearing a green shirt or a blue one? I thought it was green. But now I think it was blue.
Did Miss Sanchez mention the deadline of our assignment? I remembered she told our class it was this coming Saturday, or was it Mr. Garcia who said it?
Let's suppose that you will be our newest creative nonfiction writer. You might be thinking, if this is the case and if CNF is about real-life writing, what are the boundaries of retelling a story? Roy Peter Clark suggests that you may subtract, but you can never add. This means that yes, you can eliminate all those unnecessary details that may be irrelevant to the story or that would make your story look cluttered. But when you invent non-existing characters, or maybe even tweak some events that actually did not happen to make it look more exciting or more dramatic, then you have crossed the boundaries of CNF writing. Get your facts straight. There is no room for fabricated events, fictional characters, and made-up dates and experiences. Here's some advice from Susan Lara that I would like to share with you. At the end of the day, the CNF writer's weapon against faulty memory and possible self-deception are rigorous and relentless self-interrogation in every stage of the creative process. The bottom line is, you must always question yourself and ask all the whys when writing your CNF piece. Second, A creative nonfiction piece is all about research. Okay, I know it sounds daunting, and I know that most of you are allergic to the idea of research, but hear me out first. As the adage goes, nothing worth having comes easy. Suppose you want to have that beautifully written CNF piece. In that case, you must pour in hours of hard work, read books, conduct interviews with the subject of your story and with the people who know them, fact-check dates and events, and read journals or diaries for a more accurate retelling of the story. Last but not least, every creative nonfiction piece has its own reflection. As a CNF writer, you must engage your readers by offering an insight that would make your story feel relatable. There should always be a lesson that is meaningful and purposeful. Ask yourself, how would reading this story ignite a spark within the reader and make it worth their while? The story, therefore, must encapsulate all the lessons from the hardships that the subject has faced. It should also highlight the triumphs, even the small wins, that led to your subject becoming better and wiser because of what they went through. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you learned something.